Welcome, students, as we prepare for another episode of DC Graduates. I am one of your hosts, your doctor recommended dose of nerdiness, aka your nerd today, Carlos Rodriguez. And as always, I'm joined with my fellow teacher in arms, Sly. Sly, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I realized as you started doing the intro that I was looking at the bottom of the dock and not the top, so I'm scrolling up now. Welcome, hi, hello. We're here to
Frankly,
talk about a movie.
a movie, yes, indeed. And this is our
It
first
certainly
super
was a film.
non-Batman related movie.
Yeah, really. It's truly like and what a choice to branch outside of the Bat family in this edition of Wonder Woman 2009,
That's right.
which I'm just gonna jump right in. I thought I had seen this movie because I was like, I like Wonder Woman. I must have watched it. And then I started this movie and I was like, if I had seen this, I would have remembered how god awful this.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good time to jump into host history as we talk about 2009's Wonder Woman, directed real quick by Lauren Montgomery, written by Michael Jelenic and the incredible Gail Simone. Studios WB Animation, stars Kerry Russell, my captain, Captain Malcolm Reynolds himself, Nathan Fillion, Alfred Molina, Rosario Dawson, Oliver fucking Platt, John
Again,
DiMaggio.
making a reappearance.
Yeah, Tara Strong, Andrea Romano, our queen, Bruce Timm. Uh yeah, let's talk about so you've never seen this before. It's you thought you did.
I thought I had, but a quick watch revealed that I had indeed not. And like I wanted to like this so badly. Like I feel so honestly like genuinely bad that I will be spending this entire recording roasting this movie because I enjoy talking about things positively. I like having a silly goofy time. And there was so much in this movie that I was just like, I can't get over the writing. And listen, no hate to Gail Simone, but this Michael dude, you were being a man, and it was deeply upsetting for 99.9% of this movie.
Yeah, Michael Jelenic, a very interesting choice here because I'm like looking at some of his stuff. So he directed most recently the Super Mario Brothers movie. Uh, he was
Interesting.
a writer for 17 episodes of your beloved 2004 Batman series. Um,
Really?
yeah, he's a producer on Batman Brave and the Bold. Yeah, he's produced a bunch of shit and then directed. Writing wise, I mean, he's done a lot. I guess he wrote Peaches, the song. He wrote Teen Titans
All
Go, a
right.
bunch of episodes and movies, Batman versus Two Face, Batman Return of Capes Crusader, which he Adam West like versions of that. Some other movies that we're going to be covering here, and Legion of the Superheroes TV series from like 2007. Again, your beloved Batman and Batman versus Dracula, which he was a story editor. Oh, fun fact: Jackie Chan Adventures, 6 episodes of that, which I love
Mm,
that show. Um, and Gail is very famous among writers. You know, she has coined one of the most infamous terms in comic books. Not infamous in a bad way. I think it's very good that we talk about it. But fridging, she is the
oh,
writer
mhm.
who coined fridging due to my beloved Green Lantern Kyle Rayner losing his first girlfriend, his first love, Alex, to being chopped up to pieces and shoved into a fridge by Major Force. And
Mhm.
comic books have never been the same. And now it's hard after Gail Simone wrote her article to not witness that women are put in this not perilous situation, but these situations where they die to further the story of a man. And once you
Mhm.
see it and once you think about it, you see it everywhere, you know, or they're put in some kind of
Absolutely.
danger, you know, the damsel in distress trope, but like to an
Mhm.
umpteenth thing, you like death has to be involved, and that pushes the story line. I have been, you know, at fault of that too. Like in my younger days, trying to come up with like superheroes and write origin stories. I've done that,
Mhm.
and I'm like, whoa, no, it's so easy to go down that route, right? Because it's such a
because that's
tragedy.
what we've been conditioned
Yeah,
to. It's the most typical trope we see in these types of stories. So obviously, especially when you're a kid emulating the stories you see in front of you, of course you're gonna go down that route.
100%, 100%. For me, I saw this movie around the time it came out, 2009. Similar to how I watched this one. Is it streaming anywhere? Not this one.
Not legally.
Not legally. So I think the same thing I did around 2009, and I loved it at the time. I did not remember the dialogue, so I started rewatching it this time today.
Yeah, I think if you muted it and just let it play out in the background,
Hmm.
it would be a really good movie.
It has some very like strange choices when it comes to dialogue. Um, Specifically, I think if it wasn't for these three actors, I think the movie could be worse. I would definitely agree with that. If it wasn't for Kerry
True.
Russell, if it wasn't for Nathan Fillion, because he's charming as fuck, even when he's being gross as Steve. Like Steve is he's pushing it. That's like the up. That's like he crossed the line with Steve in this movie. But like they got
Uh-huh.
you hear his sweet sultry voice to like maybe it'll get better. And then Alfred Molina. Like if you didn't have those three actors, this is
Alfred
even
Molina was
worse
nice.
of a
Yeah.
movie. You know,
Hmm.
like this is even more egregious. Is the action good? Yeah. Adapting, a George Perez, Marv Wolfman story from back in the day, from like 86, 87.
Hmm.
Great choice. Um, I'm pretty sure George Perez showed a little more tact when it came to the Amazonians or, you know, Wonder Woman herself. you know
I was gonna
how
say
she's spoken of.
what I remember from that story was
Yeah.
really solid, and this, uh, yeah, we have lots of thoughts about that, but we'll get into them when we get into
Yeah,
the
absolutely. Yeah,
meat and
I
potatoes of
quickly
them.
I don't think this movie holds up. Subject
Yeah.
wise. It's funny because
Hmm.
season 1 we talked about Batman and Harley and a lot of the, controversies, with Nightwing and Harley hooking up and other stuff like that. No one talks about this movie. I don't know why that's getting brought up. Uh, but let's while we break down the movie and some of our, our Andrea Romano roundup, why don't you give us a plot recap?
uh, a returning character in this week's plot recap. We love
Been
to
a
see
while.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in antiquity, great use of that word, by the way. Proud of you. The Amazons defeat the war god Ares, and Zeus charges them to hold him prisoner as eternally young warriors on the hidden island of Themyscira. Centuries later, U.S. Air Force pilot Steve Trevor is lured to crash on the island, and the destruction of that trespass allows Ares to escape. In response, Princess Diana wins the responsibility to both take Trevor home and recapture the fugitive god. Steve Trevor offers to help, and together this desperate pair must not only overcome Ares' efforts to achieve a bloody revenge, but also reconcile their own conflicting worldviews in an adventure that would be the first for the greatest of the female superheroes. Thank you, Kenneth Chisholm. Again, returning friend of the show.
Thank you, Ken.
Love to see it. I will say my only problem with this recap is the qualifier that this is the first for the greatest of the female superheroes. Because arguably, she's one of the strongest superheroes, point blank, period.
Just in general. Just in general.
Just in
The Justice
general.
League would be worse without her.
Absolutely. I don't think Justice League would function without her.
I think like she puts up with Bruce's shit,
Hmm.
encourages Clark to be better,
Hmm.
and then makes them work together.
Yeah. She's both like the emotional linchpin and also like the strategist and like physical linchpin. Like nothing really works without her.
Mhm. Mhm. This is one uh don't like praising him too much, especially after what we know now. but Joss Whedon did in the live action Justice League. If you've seen that movie, spoilers. If not, who cares? It's not a really good movie. That's why we do DC graduates to prove that DC movies
Uh-huh.
can be good. Um, there is a scene where
Not
Batman,
this one.
yeah, yeah, except for this one, where Superman comes back from the dead, is helping Cyborg with the three mother boxes to try to like combine them as like a singularity, blah blah blah, all this bullshit, normal comic stupid shit. As it happens, like he breaks them apart or whatever, they both get thrown back, and Cyborg is like, "Oh fuck!" Like basically, this hurts really bad, and Superman is like, "I wish I was dead," and like it's very funny, very like cute at moment, and they're both laughing, and it's like, "Oh wow, this is
Mm.
like a generally human moment between them." It's really cool. And Diana has a line where she looks up, she like cracks a smile, she's like, "Boys," and it's like she's not wrong. She deals with like little children, and
Yeah,
it's not because of her
she does.
age. It's just because of who
No.
she is, like and who they are. Like
Yeah.
they are children.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
They are emotionally stunted, and she is a fully realized badass individual.
Honestly, out of everyone in the Justice League, I'm even thinking Justice League Unlimited, the women are the ones who the most mature to be the superheroes. Everyone else is like, I got hurt when I was a kid and I want to hurt people back.
Shout out to Hot Girl,
Yeah.
underrated Justice League member,
A
in
hundred
my
percent.
opinion.
100%. So hit us with those comic book characters.
All right, we've got obviously the titular Wonder Woman. We've got Hippolyta, Artemis, Steve Trevor, Etta Candy, Ares, Hades, Zeus, and Hera. And we will talk about the "it's all Greek to me" of everything.
Mhm.
But before we get to there, let's dive in.
Yeah. Actually, no, it's a good jumping off point. We can jump into our first section of the Andrea Romano roundup. Of course, we shout out our queen Andrea Romano, the brilliant voice director, who's a voice director on this. We'll start with this subsection: Gods and Monsters, comics obsession with the pantheon, whether it be Greek, Norse, whatever it may be,
All of
everything
them.
in the middle.
Yep.
you know, comics has a crazy obsession with using the Greek and different gods. Hell, they even used the Judeo-Christian God in so many of them. He looks like Jack Kirby in the Marvel universe, which I appreciate that. Because without Jack Kirby, we wouldn't have all the heroes that we have. It should not look like Stanley. No offense to Stanley or his family. Um, and for DC, they kind of lean more the Greek pantheon side. Of course, we have
Hmm.
Wonder Woman, who in different realities is born of clay, as we've seen in this one, or straight up the daughter of Zeus, as we see in the New 52. And I think that origin has still stuck. I don't think that got retconned.
I assume so.
So I think she is technically a demigod. Sometimes she's even the daughter of Ares himself. Um, so that's all over the place. But yeah, she's technically a
Hmm.
demigod in some way, shape, or form. Again, we were dealing with Zeus, Hades, Ares, like as her big bad guys. Hera is very kind in this, which is very weird to me.
Hera is, yeah, they make some choices with Hera that I don't necessarily agree with. And not about the kindness part, but more of the way she talks about her husband, which does not feel right or correct to me.
No, as someone who grew up in the early '90s and mid '90s, we had a show by Sam Raimi called Hercules, and another show
Hmm.
called Xena, Warrior Princess, on syndicated television, Channel 17 here in Philadelphia. Um, and I loved those shows growing up. Hera was an asshole, as she is in Greek mythology, and she hated Hercules so much so she made him kill his family. And that's in the
That
series, and that's part of actual Greek mythology. So she's an asshole. And this one's very
she's,
kind.
yeah, if I had to put up with Zeus, I would be an asshole too. Like that's the thing about Hera is like she's a vindictive bitch,
Yeah,
affectionate. Like she
yeah,
has to put up with like the most vile like figure in like the entire like conception of like Greek mythology.
yeah,
She has a right to be kind of an asshole.
yeah. And like this version of Zeus has some kind of compassion. He's not as egregious as the Disney version of Zeus, who's like a loving family man. It's like that is a bridge too fucking far, sir. That is a
Yeah.
bridge too far, Disney. You cannot. You can convince
Mhm.
me anything else. Zeus being a family man? No, thank you. Not here. Okay. But when you get to comics, it's funny how comics are always talked about as like this modern mythology, this modern pantheon of the gods. They're seen that
Mhm.
way. Superman as this mythical figure, Batman as this mythical figure. They're called the Trinity. Which like alludes
Yeah.
to the Holy Trinity of Judeo-Christian mythology. You have the same thing over at Marvel. You have Thor, literally the Norse god of thunder, Iron Man and Captain America as their Trinity. And they still use Hercules as a prominent member of the Avengers over there. They have the Greek pantheon over there. They have Zeus and Odin and all this other bullshit in between. And when you have so many amazing stories, why go back to Greek mythology and Norse mythology?
My problem is, well, I have
Hmm.
two problems. First, the prominence of using the Roman name when referring to the Greek character of Heracles, which like every fucking modern story does nowadays, and it pisses me off.
I know that.
Um, my second problem with the everything about how like these like religious beliefs are treated in comic books is that they're treated as like ancient stories that are like free use to be iterated on and changed. But these are like active like religious like beliefs. Like these people like actively practice these religions and believe in these gods. And I just feel kind of icky about a lot of like superhero media coming in, taking these stories and thinking they can like just take these names and represent the characters however like fits their story best and ignore it's like I have a note in my notes about like how would like the capital C Christians feel if they like took Jesus and the apostles and throw them into a superhero media but like completely reworked the character to something unrecognizable. Like
Hmm.
there would be riots. Like
Yeah.
people would be like burning books in the streets riot.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
there's no respect shown for, you know, any culture or belief practice outside of these like writers' owns, right?
Yeah, I think it's like almost as like, oh, so much time has passed, so we can do it,
Hmm.
right? You're right. I don't think if Christianity was as big as it is and as unfortunately as mainstream as it is, right, within all of the world. Unfortunately, yeah, mind you, you know, Judaism, Muslims, everything in between, Taoism, that's still very prominent around the world. I'm just saying, fortunately, when you think of a major religion, it does happen to be some kind of form of Christianity, which is not great,
Shout out to, you know, proselytizing and the crusades and all that shit.
Hmm.
Spreading the good word.
Yeah, exactly. So it's different, right? So, like for example, in my head,
Mhm.
one of the only comics I can think of that deals with Christianity in some way, shape, or form is Spawn. Dealing with hell itself, but then also there's a big turning point in that series. Spoilers, and I'm also not too familiar. I just know because it was within the comic sphere
Mhm.
a big thing that happened. There's a point where Spawn becomes so powerful, and he's like, it's like the tipping point. Like this seems like the end of a series, and he cuts off like Earth. He basically creates another Earth with all the people that don't have to deal with Christianity and bullshit like that. Shoots it off somewhere else, or shoots off the Earth that everyone was living on, and locks it to have like Satan and Jesus fight for the rest of eternity. Just
That's dope as
yeah.
shit.
Also, I think they use Alan Moore or a very old '60s character, Miracle Man, which they had the rights to at the time, as like their proxy. Like Miracle Man is Jesus, or MOM, so it's like God or something like that. He's like supposed to be God, and they use it. And I did see some controversy that came out of that, but again, and this is no knock to Spawn. I love Spawn, and I think it's one of the most important, independent comic book series that we've ever gotten. And because of Image Comics and Spawn, we have so much diversity now in comics, and we're able to do a lot more stuff, and that pushes the big two in DC and Marvel to think out the box and do other shit. So it's like
Absolutely.
without competition, we don't get that. Without Spawn, we don't get where we're at now. But it's unfortunately Spawn, right? It's not Spider-Man. It's not the Fantastic Four. It's also not like when the Fantastic Four uses God itself, you know, it's used as a thing to bring Ben Grimm back from the dead, and he looks like Jack Kirby, but they show a reverence to it, right? A love toward him. Not they don't play him up as Old Testament God who's like, flooding the world, and you're like only two of each animal, get the
The
fuck out.
7 plagues, like all that
Exactly.
shit.
He mellowed out when he had a kid. I will say that. If you read the text,
He
he mellowed
really
out when he
did,
had a
yeah.
kid. Having a kid changes you. I will agree. I will agree. But I don't know if it would make me
Daddy God
mellow.
really mellowed out.
Yeah, it didn't make me mellow. It made me more anxious. But who's to say? I can't.
To each his own.
Yeah, exactly. But you get kind of that the depiction, right? We haven't had like a negative depiction, and I think a lot of people are afraid, right? It is again so prominent within whether it be our politics in America, whether it be worldwide, and the power it still holds over so many people. You know, it's I think it's such a touchy subject for so many people to be like, "Ugh, I don't even know if writers have the balls to do it, and if they do, of course, then you have someone like Disney who runs Marvel to be like, nah, you can't do that. And then you have someone like Warner Brothers that runs DC to be like, yeah, nah, you can't do that. I think the closest we got to any controversy and it had to get changed at the last minute is, again, speaking, this is a DC podcast, but we're talking about Christianity within comic books. The mutant Exodus. Are you aware of this mutant?
God, sounds familiar. I'd have to see it though.
He's a very random, like he's a prominent figure within X-Men if you read a lot of X-Men, but like
I do
very
not read a lot
sparse.
about
Yeah, he's very sparse within storylines.
Yeah,
He's got big
that
shoulder blades.
fucker.
You've seen him.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
he might be Jesus. And Jesus might have been a mutant. No one wants to make that storyline other than maybe Gail Simone and someone like that. Because I believe she writes the comics. She writes Uncanny X-Men right now, I believe. I'm sure they want to crack at it and kind of want to make that story. But if you make Jesus a mutant in a book where you constantly show right-wing Christian nationalists beat the shit out of and persecute
that would be an excellent
mutants
storyline.
I think it would be.
It'd be pretty wonderful. Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure
I
Jesus wouldn't be down with that, right? The way we actually are supposed to talk about him. But unfortunately, yeah, I think you're right. I think it's easy to be like, let's do the Greek mythology because who practices it? Let's do the Norse mythology because like it's okay. It's been so much time, and it's like 5 people in Nova Scotia who believe in it's Fee and
Nova Scotia catching strays today apparently.
It's Fee. She believes in the Norse gods.
Good for her.
Yeah.
And good for the other 4 people in Nova Scotia.
I can't confirm nor deny if Lucas is one of them. I'm just saying.
It is so interesting to see what they think is, like acceptable to pull on in source material. And like again, DC is not the only one at fault. We see this prevalent very heavily throughout Marvel as well. But in this movie particularly, it got me really confused because of the characterizations they chose for these god figures, but then also their decision to name all of the Amazons after prominent Greek characters.
Yes.
And I was like literally one of my first notes is like, is this like the Artemis or like Artemis Grace? Could not tell you. Even by the end, I'm still not sure.
Yeah.
Because the crack about like Apollo, I'm like, is that because that's her twin brother or because she's named after Artemis? I have no clue.
Yeah, and there's
one
that
was like so muddy.
Who's Persephone?
Persephone, yeah.
And that's the one who's with Hades, right?
So with Ares.
Oh, Ares. I'm sorry. Yeah. So that's like, it's weird when you see that. Like, are you just like, Is it just a name because y'all loved Persephone and Artemis so much? Like the Artemis one makes sense. Persephone, no offense to Persephone or as well the Amazons, but like that makes sense. But like, oh yeah, we like that god, so we're gonna name one of our children after her. And
Hmm.
Artemis was like, that makes sense. She's a hunter and everything like that. That would make sense and go along with that. But like, why isn't there a Hera on Themyscira? All that stuff.
Right.
Um,
There was an Alexa though, which was a weird reference in
yeah,
this stage of capitalism.
yeah, yeah. Also, I've only seen Marvel really tackle this, and I always love when they do. I love when you see a character who, for all intents and purposes, you have to assume in one way, shape, or form, Steve Trevor is some kind of Christian, most likely.
Oh
If
yeah.
not, has some kind of idea, right? And is maybe not practicing, or is like away from the church and like doesn't believe in it anymore. Like,
Hmm.
I'm atheist now. But then you see fucking Ares, and your brain doesn't go like, what the fuck? Like he
Oh,
kind of shoves it away so quickly. And even when he's like trying to
we gotta
seduce
love that
Wonder Woman,
military-industrial complex compartmentalization, baby.
that's true. That's true. Actually, yeah, yeah. I gotta text my friend Joe. He probably would do the same. Being a Marine, yeah. He'd be like, "Oh, that's crazy, man. Anyway, man, can you pass me that beer real quick?" But like, even
Exactly.
when he's like trying to seduce Diana in the bar, which that's problematic as it is,
God.
he makes a joke. He was like, "Oh, your mom hooked up with Ares. Like, come on, did she know God of War that wasn't gonna work out?" Like, I thought that was hilarious in itself.
Like, first of all, of course he thinks that, but second of all, the beginning of this movie made that really sound non-consensual. So it's like, really, dude, that's the joke you're cracking at this time? This
Yeah,
like
I don't know, right?
non-consensual relationship that ended with a child that was not wanted?
Which
Oof.
technically aborted.
That's what we call late-term abortion.
That's what it is, Trump. Not what you think it is.
I was
Damn, we're
not
gonna get
prepared for us
canceled.
to get this off the rail.
And I'm the one who edits this, so this is staying. Anyway, but
Great, lovely.
yeah, we're not gonna get kicked off the air at all. Um, yeah, it's funny because like Marvel, again, not to talk about the competition too much. I love. There's a line with I think Black Widow has a line toward Cap in the Avengers movie, something about like da 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 da. We're fighting gods. He's like, there's only one God, and like that is hilarious to me because Steve is like, listen, y'all can say what y'all want. You can throw fucking thunder and
Hmm.
lightning, and you look like
Yeah.
the motherfucker from the books that I read when I was in history class. Motherfucker, there's one God. He lives up there. I don't know what the fuck he looks like. I pray to him every Sunday. There's a church in Brooklyn I go to. Shut the fuck up. He's like, but that's Loki. The motherfucker happens to be named Loki. Okay, I can believe magic's real. He does a lot of mischief. He's not a god, sir. He's some kind of weird alien. What the fuck you want me to tell you?
Yeah. Shout out to Irish Catholic Steve Rogers, my beloved.
Can't break him.
But that's not
Can't
who
break
we're
him,
here to
man.
talk about
Mm-mm.
today.
Not at all. That guilt goes deep.
Guilt goes so deep.
But yeah, you don't talk about like
Um,
the fact that
you know
Batman is
who
just
has
like friends
no
with like
guilt?
Zeus's daughter. Like he's got her phone number.
Sure.
And he's like, I gotta call you real quick. Hold on, real quick. Yo, can Damien come over?
Just
What?
casually chatting with a demigod, you know.
Yeah. Like, what is your life? Fucking crazy.
Yeah, I want to talk about Steve Trevor and his complete unabashed assholery this entire movie because
It doesn't really break at all.
it does not age well, and it's
No.
constant, and it's miserable. At one point, I was like, where was it? I'm so glad this movie is only an hour and 14, because I was like, I think I was 50 minutes in, and I was like, I cannot stand this motherfucker.
And look, I love
Like,
me some Nathan Fillion. I love Castle. I've seen some of the Rookie, really good. Obviously, huge Firefly and Serenity fan because I have a tattoo and I named my daughter after one of the characters. Um, Malcolm Reynolds, this is not. Yeah, Steve Trevor is an asshole, as he says he's an asshole. He says he's a creeper.
He literally
Uh,
calls himself a pig
yeah,
when his foot's wrapped in the lasso of truth as he's
yeah.
casually lounging in the back of the plane. And I was like, you are being you are a pig, and being self-aware is not gonna redeem you. Like, that man did not earn a second of that, like, final send-off, like,
N-
happily ever after. I was like, I breathed a sigh of relief when they didn't kiss the first time. I was like, thank
mhm.
God. And then the second time when they actually kissed, it was just like, you gross puke. Like, I can't do it. And maybe that's just my low tolerance for like romantic storylines, but everything, and it's not the performance at all. Because Nathan
No.
Fillion, he's doing what he can with what he's given.
Yeah.
But what he's given is like a horrible, awful, like misogynistic asshole who is like shameless and unabashed about his disgustingness and does nothing to like actively work to redeem himself at any point throughout this
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah. My only thing, like the only time where he ever gets like ever so slightly a pass, and I love it because they kind of do it. They do like a reverse of it in the live action Wonder Woman, the Patty Jenkins movie with Gal Gadot. When he pulls up to Themyscira and then sees everyone
Hmm.
bathing, a communal bathing at that. Which is that male writing, or would that really be that way? I don't know. you know, there's definitely couples on Themyscira. There's so many
Yeah,
couples. There's no way you just like
this
celibate for the
bitch is
rest.
gay.
Yeah,
Good
most of
for
them,
them.
if not all. Yeah, you know, the famous line. Everyone's a little bit gay whether they like it or not. Um, so like that, I thought that could have been a cutesy moment, but then like just how Steve is the whole time makes it not cute. When you get the reverse in the live action version, with Gal Gadot, and she sees Chris Pine naked, and then she's wondering about his body, because she's never seen a male. I was like, that's a cute, funny, kind of sexy thing to
Yeah.
do. This could have been that, but like it's ruined because beforehand, on mission, he's hitting on the rookie. First of all, dynamics of power. Why are you doing this? That's questionable. Secondly,
And
the
second of
only
all, like
yeah.
fellow, like I what are they fucking called in the Air Force? I don't know. A fellow soldier person.
Sorry, I was thinking again. My friend Joey's a Marine, and I heard the word they use for female Marines, and I was like, that. Mm-mm.
Mm,
Yeah, if you're a Marine, you know what what popped in my head. I don't know what would the Air Force version be of that, and it's probably
I don't
not
know.
good. Yeah, let's just.
Anyways, but yeah, as they're actively on mission, just flirting with the rookie, which A is again a gross power dynamic in
Mhm.
general, and B, like, you're in the middle of a fucking mission. Like, you have more important things
Yeah.
to be doing, obviously, because you get fucking crashed in the middle of nowhere because you weren't paying attention.
Hmm.
No shit.
Yeah, this is like the only time I can think of Steve Trevor written this way. Because when they reboot
Yeah,
the
no,
DC
he's usually
universe,
not,
no.
which I think is why it was so egregious. Because like half my notes are about how much I hate him. I'm going to fucking murder this man. I cannot fucking stand this man. Oh my god. This is trying so hard to be social commentary and failing. Like,
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah, constantly, constantly.
constantly.
There's so many things, and then you could tell he's a womanizer. Like he's probably slept with Etta. Um,
He calls himself a womanizer.
yeah, yeah, 100%. It's just weird. This is very weird. It's weird characterization, especially again right after this we get the New 52 reboot, like not too much longer,
Hmm.
and they make a modern day Steve Trevor. That Steve is not weird. He's not a weirdo.
Hmm.
He's just cool with Diana. He's an Argus agent. That's it. They have like differences because he's like, oh, I'm this kind of agent. I have this kind of level, and she's like, Justice League. I don't give a fuck. you know, That's
Yeah,
fun to play
there is
with.
that like cultural differences, of course,
Yeah.
and like I don't know. I think their dynamic in that is really fun, and unfortunately, I think like probably 75% of the problem was again this was like written in like 2007, 2008,
Mm-hmm.
and it shows.
Yeah.
Like I remember that
Yeah.
time of the world, and it really just feels seeped in like the time, and
Yeah.
it aged really poorly.
Yeah. Even right here, like my only like funny things I think I have here is thank God Steve has moves or he would be skewered. This is after he randomly finds like a bunch of
Yeah.
Amazonian women bathing. Steve has a safe word, 100%. Um, oh, here's a good question. What would Steve's safe word be?
God, it would be something dumb.
It would be. It would be. It would be like his like call sign. It's a fucking idiot. I was like, damn, yeah,
That's
Steve's.
so dumb. It absolutely would be.
Yep. For how smart he is with military stuff, that'd be the dumb thing. Yeah. Yeah, you highlighted here. Damn, Steve, stop being a hornball. Um, there's just like the fact that he tries to get Diana drunk.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He tries
Like
to
he's
outdrink an Amazon, first of all,
yeah.
which was your first mistake. And second of all, then he tries to fight some people in an alley. No, he doesn't try to fight
No,
some people in an alley because he's a little bitch.
he
And he went to
is.
turn over his wallet, and Diana's like, "We're not doing that,"
No.
and kicks ass. And then he throws a punch at the one guy who could rip him to shreds.
Yep. Yep.
I love that he played the damsel in the in distress for like 90% of this movie.
Yes. Yeah. And there's even like a funny joke. I think I added. Yeah, I did add in the drama class at the very end of the movie. But like, yeah, it's just weird. And then like he mentions that without the lasso, mind you, just mentions she has a nice rack.
Mm.
And then he's constantly when he's talking to Artemis, he's like, "Yeah, you know the princess, the one with the nice ass or some shit like that." And she's like, "I will fucking castrate you." Like, what? What are you doing? Like, instead of like, they could have played it off where he's like very cutesy, like, "Oh my god, hey, is she single?" You know, like, is she spoken for? Or like, she's a princess. I will kill you. Like, oh okay. You know, and maybe if he didn't have all these hornball lines, this could have been tolerable in some way, shape, or form. But man, it was grating watching this. It felt like 2007 again, which a lot of that stuff doesn't hold up. It could be funny, maybe some stuff, but like there's a reason that humor's in the past and not around in 2024.
Mm-hmm.
Just ugh,
Absolutely.
ugh. But what was the um? We can skip the one subsection. It kind of we might do it. The other Wonder Woman movie might be a better one to bring that up in. But I wanted to talk about something real quick because we got some
Yeah,
fucking
absolutely.
amazing fight scenes in this movie, which is like the saving grace of this
Yes.
goddamn movie. The first eight
I want to
minutes
say
is a fight scene.
absolutely. The first 8 minutes fucking slap. The last, like the ending final battle at the White House with the like reanimated corpses of all the dead Amazonians was also dope if you
Yeah.
ignore all the dialogue in there. Like they're like the art of this movie was pretty solid. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it was a
Mm-hmm.
little fuzzy because we weren't watching it totally legally. I don't know
Right.
about you, but mine was like fine. Um, but like the art direction felt really solid. The
Mm-hmm.
fight choreography felt really incredible, and all of the movements felt really natural, which I was surprised by. Because not to bring up Marvel again on a DC podcast, but like Marvel animated things are like notorious for not knowing how to animate like women's bodies, especially like this is really egregious in if season 1 especially like
Yeah.
none of the women like moved like humans, like they were like weird animal creatures. Anyways, but like all of the movement felt really solid and really fluid, which
Mm-hmm.
for being a predominantly women cast was really impressive, especially in the animation space. And there are good things about this movie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The dialogue's just not one of them.
No. No. So I wanted to shout out this little subsection I call it shoot in the fade. And I wanted to bring up this question. Who is the best hand to hand fighter in the DC universe. Sly, we'll start with you. Who do you think is the best hand-to-hand fighter?
That's a great question.
Because the only three
Because
I can think of are A, all women, and B,
Mhm.
all badass.
Yeah. Um, that's a great. I like immediately I go to like who do we see who's like especially like trained and adept in like hand-to-hand combat. And honestly, the first one that comes to mind is Artemis Grace from like the Outlaws like
Mm-hmm.
run of her. Like she's there,
Yeah.
she's boxing, she's fighting, like she's kicking ass. So I'd throw her in contention. I mean, obviously Diana
Yeah.
is probably top of the list. I was just trying to go for not the most
Yeah.
obvious answer. Um, and then heart of my hearts, Alfred Pennyworth.
Hey, listen, man. You know he's got some moves. If you just give him the time, he's got it. You know, he's no slouch. He looks like a slouch.
hmm
He's not. For me, top three that I can think of, obviously Diana. I love that Diana's like no matter what, she's on that list.
I mean, I think she's the obvious number one
Yeah.
choice, but I think we were both trying to go outside of that box.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking Canary. Canary is one
Ooh,
of them.
yeah, Canary's really
Yeah,
solid.
because she's one that kind of
She's
like you always
very
see like
arc.
train other leaguers. Yeah,
Yeah. She
and
has like a very fluidity
mm-hmm.
to her movements that like really does well, especially when you're going up against like big brawler types.
Yeah, and then there's also I feel like once like she knows so many of like earth-based martial arts that once she's
hmm
introduced like to like Themyscira and other shit, she's like, yo, real quick, let me
Yeah,
how'd
she
you do
picks
that
it
one
up
thing
so
real
quick.
quick? Yeah.
Yeah.
The third
Uh
one
huh.
I think I don't think she gets enough love. Lady Shiva. Yeah,
I don't think Lady Shiva needs more love.
yeah, fair. So, I mean, look at her
Absolutely.
best.
No, you're right. Yeah,
She trained
I
Bruce. That's what I think of.
yeah, she trained Boots and she trained Cass, who I would argue is a stronger fighter than Bruce.
Yeah, because she has there's no stopping her.
Yeah.
You know, like
hmm
she's only stopped because of her moral code, but like she doesn't really want to.
hmm
Like,
I mean, when you kill a man when you're like 8 and it traumatizes for you for life, I think you learn where your
yeah.
own line is. But also, yeah, no.
Hmm.
Lady Shiva was a great pull. That was an
Yeah.
excellent answer.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. Because I was like, no, definitely in my head, in my heart of hearts, is Canary one of them. I
hmm
think you can make maybe the argument that Canary is the better fighter because she gets a little dirtier than Diana. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Diana is very
Yeah.
pristine, even though like her moves, like she does like a drop kick at one point and all this other shit. But like, I can see Canary going for the balls first, you know, and then
Yeah.
some other
Diana
shit.
has the demigod like strength on her side, which
Yeah,
helps like her be a powerhouse, but I think Canary has the more like technical skills.
yeah. In my head, like also like I was thinking about Injustice, right? Like playing 1 and 2, and my thought was like when I popped those games in, my immediate, like mind you, huge Superman fan. The first thing
Mm-hmm.
I did was play as Black Canary. Like
Mm-hmm.
her only superpower is her fucking scream, her canary call, her canary cry. And I was like, nah, I want to play as Black Canary because she has the best moves. She reminded me when playing that game of Johnny Cage in Mortal Kombat, which is funny. You know, NetherRealm works on both of those game series. But that's the closest thing that was immediately when I popped those games in. That's what I did with that. So I was like in my head, to me, in my heart of hearts, she might be the better fighter because she gets a little down and
I
dirty
think
and she's from the hood. But
I think I
Dinah,
mostly played
yeah,
Nightwing in that game because I like being bouncy in fighting games. If I
yeah.
can't jump over you, I don't like feeling too grounded. I think Aquaman was also up there for me.
You also love Damien, to be fair. So you got to play as Damien Nightwing. That sad ass story, which we will cover soon.
We'll get there.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to
Shout
that
out
one.
to Injustice. That's a great game.
Great game series. I don't think the movie holds up from what I hear from other people, and I haven't seen it
Mm.
yet. So we'll talk about it when we get there. Um, But before we move on to drama class, any standout moments from the movie you want to talk about? Other than Ares being
Oh
fucking awesome.
yes, probably. Yeah. Shout out to bitch ass ho Aries doing bitch ass ho
Yeah.
things. There was lots of good quips. The I am no warrior, that you are not.
Yeah.
That was excellent. Um, yeah, I did not appreciate this representation of the father fucker. I think he was a little too compassionate and cared about his children a little too much, which did not feel accurate.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, man. Zeus was weird in this one. Ares
Mhm.
had a little bit. I wish they leaned into it a little more with his son.
Mhm.
But he had a little three dimensions to him. A little bit. Not too much. They didn't give him too much space, unfortunately. But I thought there was a good moment early. Obviously he's talking
Mhm.
shit to, Hippolyta when they're fighting. And then she immediately was like, "Oh, the kid's here, I'm gonna fucking kill him." She's like, "Whoa, whoa." He's like, "Whoa, that's your son. Don't." And he's trying to stop her, thinking that that will stop her. It does not.
Mhm.
You can tell he's actually worried too about his son. And then when he sees him later on in Hades, with Hades there, or Tartarus, I'm
Mhm.
sorry, with Hades there as a servant, he has like a visual anger to him to see it. He's like, "Oh, anything wrong?" He's like, "Nothing, nothing at all, Uncle."
Mhm.
Like I was like, "Oh man, like I wish you could just expand, like just give me like 2 more minutes of that. Like give me a little more of that." And
That was the other thing. The Hades also felt egregious. That portrayal.
he felt like
Visually at least,
what's
and story wise.
the god of like excess and everything? What's his name?
Like Bacchanalia, like Dionysus.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
It felt like that. Like he felt
Mhm.
like he didn't
Yeah.
feel like Hades. Like he just felt like some big dude who's like, I love wine. It's like and dead people.
Mhm.
It's like, yeah, I don't know. This is weird, man. Shout
True.
out though to Oliver Platt
Um.
because he was eating it up.
Mhm.
He was killing his role. But yeah, yeah. I like the little
I want to
cheetah
give
thing at the end.
a. Oh yeah, Cheetah was awesome. I
Yeah.
love Cheetah. She's pretty cool. I want to give a honorable mention again to the line "You are but breath and shadow." That
Ooh,
one.
that's a good one.
That one hit.
Yeah.
Uh, there was a couple. Oh, the whole emissary wearing the colors of the country to honor them thing. I was like, I've completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
But now I need an artist. If you're listening out there and you have any sort of remote artistic ability, I would love to see a mock-up of all the possible various like Wonder Woman outfits with all of the different country flags. I think that would be dope.
You know what? Yeah, that would have been cool. And it's I was thinking there was a team up comic recently, when Hurricane Maria hit the island, where
Hmm.
Wonder Woman teamed up with La Boricuan. Sorry, I always forget her name because she's an independent hero. Um,
Hmm.
and they went to the island and trying to help the people and stuff. Which Wonder Woman feels. I know Superman's there, but Wonder Woman feels like that person, that compassion,
Yeah.
which is something I want to touch on in
Hmm.
another episode with Wonder Woman. Because that's one of her strengths, to be there for like the island and
Absolutely.
stuff like that. I would love to see Wonder Woman's costume with the Puerto Rican flag, basically. I
That
need
would
it.
be, yeah, absolutely. I think that would be top choice for me.
Oh my god, show me an Irish one.
There
Show
was
me like yeah, that'd be awesome. Show me all of it.
there was one moment in the movie where Diana did something particularly attractive, and I was like, "Oh, that was hot." And then Steve literally goes, "That was hot," and I was like, it was hot, but now I'm puking in my mouth for agreeing with him."
I try to think. I wonder what she did.
She beat somebody up, as she does.
Yeah, how a Debbie Goddess
Um,
does.
and my last honorable mention before we get into the actual drama class was the Steve line that I did really enjoy of his. That was like, nobody messes with Lincoln.
I thought about adding in there. I was on the fence. I was on the fence for that one.
This is a good one.
Um, oh,
Yeah. I have two final notes that I thought
yeah,
were really funny. So I just want to riff on them real quick. I did write during that end final battle, rip the White House. Can't imagine what the taxes would like to rebuild after that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think my final thought was I don't really love the insinuation that women aren't complete without men and children, which is kind of what we ended on with them opening their
Yeah.
mascara up to the world, which was a choice. But again, it was like 2008, so we're not gonna forgive them,
Yeah.
but we
Like
are
they could
gonna
only be
recognize like,
mothers. I thought
yeah.
that was weird. I thought that was very weird. Very,
Oh, and
very
then
weird choice.
when Diana decapitated Ares, I was like mother, like daughter.
Yep.
We love to see it. Good
Yep.
for her.
Yeah, I love. Yeah, I put the line here because he calls for Zeus. I was like, "Daddy ain't here, bitch." Diana cuts heads. Don't fuck with Wonder Woman.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, she goes for the head every time. She ain't. She ain't. She's not even Thor. Thor doesn't even go for the fucking head. She
I
does.
also want you to
Yeah,
read that
I
name,
wanted to
Harv.
talk about this. Yeah, because that's
Yeah.
one of the things I wanted to speak about. Artemis early in the
Mhm.
movie is shitting on Alexa for not fighting, and she's like, "I don't
Mhm.
want to fight." It was like, "All right, well, you gotta." And
Mhm.
then Persephone gets her eye cut because of
Mhm.
Alexa's action, which it sucks. You know, she's like the black sheep of the Amazons, so she has all this power, and
Mhm.
but her main strength is knowledge.
She just wants to read.
That's all
Yeah.
she wants to do.
She loves her books.
And Artemis has no fucking like no chill for her at all. So when fucking Alexa dies early in the movie and then gets resurrected by Ares, who gets this weird power upgrade that he can do whatever the fuck he wants. He has so many other gods' powers, which is weird. Artemis basically takes out all her frustration on this fucking corpse. And it felt just mean spirited. I was like, she kept just like I was like, I put out here, I was like, I feel like you have some unresolved anger issues to work out with your therapist. And like, is there a therapist with Themyscira? If not, mental health is very important. Y'all should really have one.
Be. Yeah.
Also, kind of weird that someone who was a therapist wouldn't write therapy into Wonder Woman's storylines, you know, in the early days.
Mhm.
That like, hey, y'all gotta have to put this in here too. I mean, to be
Mhm.
fair, from the biography of him, a little bit of weird dude. Of course, that's why the lasso is a rope, and there's a lot to unpack. We're not talking about his life story. We're talking about specifically the hero that's not into BDSM. Um,
Unlike Nightwing.
unlike Nightwing, oh man, we'll talk about that off air because it's hilarious. But yeah, um, that was my one. I was like, oh damn, dude, you're like kind of really fucking cruel there. I was like, oh, you already sucked it alive, now you suck
And then she
dead. I was like,
saves the fucking day with her
yeah.
knowledge. Like,
Artemis never apologizes, by the way. Never.
no, never.
No, it's a fucking bridge too far. Oh my god. I love Artemis though. Great, great character portrayal.
Mhm.
All right. Let's kick it into drama class. One of my favorite holdovers from MC University. We have a few
I think we
here.
should save the first one for last, but we have some good ones to
Yeah,
get to, and then we can end on the linchpin scene.
yeah. Let's do that. I let's. I'll start with this very quick Steve Trevor line because it's
Hmm.
one of my favorite parts of the movie. You said it as well.
It was
Uh,
incredible, yeah.
Steve sees a girl crying because some kids won't let her play pirate, and which I've seen myself as well, and I have had to stop and tell my son, be like, hey, she's probably stronger than you. Let your sister play. I don't think I'm wrong there as well. She's younger, stronger. Um, but these boys won't let her play pirates, so she's very sad, and she's like, well, they're not even sword fighting, right? So, uh,
Yeah.
Diana shows her how to properly sword fight very quickly, and this girl comes in like a bat out of hell and just
Uh-huh.
starts fucking taking them
Whoops
on.
their asses.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I didn't put this on here, but Diana's line before she was like, "Give them hell." Oh, so badass. But Trevor himself says that was sweet, teaching her to disembowel her playmates like that.
Yeah, it was a good line from him.
Yeah, it
He
was
has
sweet.
two good moments.
Yeah, he is a human, not a dirtball. Um, let's the next line. I'll be Wonder Woman.
Cool, great.
And it's from the end of the movie, right as
Hmm.
Cheetah appears for the very first time, which is such a tease because it's like, oh, I want Cheetah, I want more Cheetah, and not the Kristen Wiig version. No offense to her. Wonder Woman seeing Cheetah do a bank robbery and hurt all these cops. To Steve goes, I guess I'll see you at your apartment.
Call if you're gonna be late. I don't want dinner getting cold.
I like that line. Like he's really
Male
upset.
life.
Yes.
That's the Steve Trevor we want.
Mm-hmm. That's what I strive to be. I'm not the moneymaker in my household. I want to do that. I want to be able to stay home. Okay? Do this every day. And then make sure the house is clean. I can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking society. Pay women less. Stupid. It's fucking stupid.
We've gone on so many rants this episode, and we haven't even gotten to all of our fuck yous, because we have like 3 fuck yous this week.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm just saving it for the end.
Yeah, we'll have to save it for the end. Next is a very hilarious scene with Artemis and Hippolyta. Do you want to be Artemis? I'll be Hippolyta.
Absolutely, I want to be Artemis.
I know you wanted to be Artemis. I can tell. All right.
This is at the final battle as the Amazonians are joining the fight. Artemis goes, I must confess, my queen, it feels like the first day of school.
And yet you could not find a bigger sword, Artemis?
Holding a sword that's literally the size of her body. Sword? This is but my dagger.
Great line. God, I love Artemis.
I love her so much.
Artemis like screams, "You're an asshole," but like you're our asshole.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. She's a hothead.
Well, I do love her. Again, if this is the same Artemis, I do love her in the Outlaws. So
yeah, this could be the same Artemis Grace that we see in the Outlaws, and her relationship with Jason is very great as well. Hey, we can't go episode without talking about our favorite broke little white boy.
Yeah, I mean, we already got a Nightwing and a Damien reference this episode, so we're not doing too hot.
Shit, we mentioned Cassie too, so we're almost there. We're almost at the Bat Family anyway.
And Alfred shut out earlier too.
Stephanie Brown, Tim Drake, Duke Thomas. There we go. We're done.
Shout out to Steph. Not one of the best fighters, but I love you anyway.
Yeah, we love your tenacity. All right, we got like the most dramatic scene in the whole movie. Do you want to be Wonder Woman or Steve?
I'll let you be Steve for this one.
Nice.
All right. Is this when she's in the hospital bed?
Yeah, after
all right.
getting whooped by Ares.
I didn't need you to save me. I needed you to stop Ares.
Hey, if it weren't for me, you wouldn't be here right now.
I'm an Amazon, Steve. We're prepared from birth to give our lives in battle. I knew what the consequences were going into this mission. I bet you would have acted differently if I was a man.
Oh, playing the sex card again? Are you? You know what? I've just had about enough listening to you go on how terrible men are.
Does the truth hurt, Steve?
Newsflash, the Amazons aren't so perfect either. You act brave, but cutting yourselves off from the outside world was cowardly, not to mention stupid. Like less communication between men and women is what the world needed.
How dare you?
No, I'm not done. You met your first man, like 15 minutes ago, and you think you have all figured out. Well, I'm sorry, but not everything a man does is to further some misogynistic agenda. We don't hold doors open or pull out chairs for women just because we're trying to keep you down. And I didn't save you because I thought you were some damsel in distress. I saved you because I care about you, Diana. And I'm not going to abandon a friend in need, man or woman.
Should have saved the world instead of me.
Maybe I figured the world was not worth saving if you're not in it.
I tried really hard to redeem him, and I'm sure he is for some people, but
this is kind of the turning point.
Did not hit for me.
Yeah, we don't get the full turn, but this is like as most as we get, and the dinner line at the end. All right. So before we get into a fun little quiz time that you came up with, let's get our fuck yous out the way. Because we did forget to start this episode by saying fuck you, David Zasloff, because this is not on Max. Yet again. Not even again on Tubi, like the last one was. in last week's episode, Gotham Knight. Can't just have it on TV. Whatever. Next, we have a big fuck you to Neil Gaiman, just for being a creeper. And finally, for you, Sly, I'll let you take this one over. Fuck you to the NHL's own.
Very own. Gary Bettman. Fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you, Gary Bettman. All right. Now moving on to quiz time. So you,
All right,
I'll let you ask these questions.
I prepared this. Why? Because you had no questions, and I was like, I can think of some. So we're gonna start out with a easy toss out. What other actor featured in this movie has also played Diana?
Rosario Dawson.
Absolutely. I'm just gonna jump around. What was the original rating of this movie?
I happened to read this last week, so I'm sorry, because not a spoiler, but I did read this. It was rated R.
Yeah, the first cut was rated R, and then it was trimmed down to a PG-13 cut.
I'm assuming they got rid of the blood. And maybe the decapitations were black and red.
The decapitations were particularly bloodless, which was probably what helped bring them down. What now musical movie was the reason for Kerry Russell being hired?
I'm assuming, because they're both in this. Well, at least the non-musical version. The Waitress?
Yeah. Shout out to Waitress. Yeah, excellent musical.
Crazy that's a musical, and like a good musical too. Like it's
a great musical.
No offense to the movie.
I forgot it was a real movie.
That's what I'm saying. Like it doesn't scream musical in my head, but then Back to the Future is an amazing musical. So what the fuck?
True. All right. And last question: how many of these actors have also been in Marvel projects? I did go through scroll through every single one of their IMDb pages to get an accurate count.
All right, so definitely Nathan Fillion. I think he was in Guardians. He's been in all 3 Guardians, I believe. As little cameos.
In a lot of stuff.
Yeah. I don't think Kerry Russell's been in anything. I know she's in Star Wars, but I don't think she's in Marvel.
I almost did Star Wars
just to fit Kerry Russell.
Just to get Kerry Russell in.
And Rosario Dawson.
Too many, it was Rosario Dawson being counted as both that I was like, these are too many numbers to keep track of in my head. So we're moving on.
So definitely Fillion as cameos. Melina was obviously. Rosario Dawson was Night Nurse in the now canon Netflix universe. Tara Strong is Miss Minutes.
And some other stuff.
Oh, really?
She was also, I think she was in one of the Spider-Man animated TV shows or something.
Yes, you are right. I think she's a spectacular Spider-Man. I just started watching that though. Like I'm only like 3 episodes in, and that was like 6 months ago. Before we started filming this, I'm like, I'm not watching this series. It's too much. I don't think Oliver Platt was in it, right? So just.
I think he was also in a random animated Spider-Man something.
Damn. Okay. All right. Yeah, I was gonna go answer 4, but what's the number?
My final count was 7, if I counted correctly.
Damn. All right. Yeah. Rosario would have pulled double. Yeah. Being Ahsoka. And...
that includes people not mentioned here. I went through again every single person credited.
That's funny. I was looking at John DiMaggio. I was like, dude, you're in everything. Like, are you in something Marvel? Tara Strong, obviously, in straight up MCU now as like one of the most oddly popular characters in Miss Minutes.
I think more universally unsettling.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's probably a good way to see that. All right. So finally, we have a homeroom with our final thoughts. Sly. Final thoughts on Wonder Woman 2009.
Again, if you put this movie on, if you find it streaming somewhere totally legally, and you put it on mute and just watch the pretty movie play out in front of you, highly recommend. If you want the dialogue, That's unfortunate. Again, the voice actor performances are incredible. The
Yeah.
writing's just not good.
Nah, it's not up to snuff.
And I think that's my final thoughts. I think that's all I've got. Very pretty, great voice actors, horrible writing.
Yeah, yeah, great fights, I would say.
Yeah,
Um,
the
really
fight
good
scenes again,
visuals.
phenomenal.
Yeah, I did want to. I forgot to shout him out. I did have notes, but someone I found on TikTok, which I really like his breakdown on comic book content. Recently, I found him just randomly on my FYP, and I started following him. His name's pardon me. Ooh, I forgot to mute. Omar Holman, who does amazing work on TikTok, and he like recently has been breaking down like some Green Lantern stuff, especially with the casting of Aaron Pierre as John Stewart in the new DC universe headed by James Gunn, and that also will have Nathan Fillion as one of the four horsemen of the Green Lantern Corps, and Guy Gardner. So we got three. We got three Green Lanterns so far confirmed for this new universe, and then Kyle Chandler as Hal Jordan. But Omar recently had a couple videos, which definitely piqued my interest, being a huge wrestling fan and a huge comic book fan. He's broken
Mhm.
down a couple fight scenes in some animated things. Like, he has one specifically about Wonder Woman. That's the whole time I was thinking with these fight scenes was that where he breaks down specific wrestling moves that Diana uses in Justice League Unlimited. And
Iconic.
yeah, it's just like his attention to detail. I just really love how funny he is, especially on it. So I want to
Mhm.
shout him out. But yeah, these fight scenes are insane. Again, the first 8 minutes are great and not indicative of what the rest of the movie is, unfortunately. Um, I would have to say it's crazy to say it because of the cast. Skip this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cast is so good, but yeah, skip it.
Mhm.
I don't think you should watch it. I think if you asked me before this morning when I watched it, if you should watch it, I would have been like, yeah, 100%. I remember loving this movie. And then we got
Mhm.
here, I was like, no, no, thank you. Not for me.
I
Not for
think
me at
if I
all.
had watched it in 2009, I would have more fondness for it.
Yeah.
But coming at it from a purely 2024 perspective, it just nothing about it holds up.
Yeah. It's
Dialogue wise. Again. Fight scenes, fucking phenomenal.
absolutely, yeah, absolutely phenomenal, but just, and it sucks too, right? Like, I guess the only thing I could think of is my 2009 22-year-old mind was like, oh my God, finally something Wonder Woman solo. you know, it hasn't been
Yes,
since the Linda Carter
absolutely.
series that we have anything with
Hmm.
just Wonder Woman, not the Justice League,
Shout
but
out to Linda
just Wonder
Carter.
Woman. Oh, God, I love her. Like,
Hmm.
Mexican queen, which is also awesome to
Love
think
to
that
see it.
fucking Wonder Woman's Mexican. That's so cool.
Hmm.
Um, and she doesn't age. God damn, she really doesn't. And she plays Artemis. That's a fun fact. Doesn't she play Artemis in 1984?
Oh shit, does she?
I believe. I'm gonna look it up real quick. Linda Carter, Wonder Woman, 1984. Let's see. Oh, Astria. Sorry. Damn. I was like, oh wait, I started with A. I knew it because she has the golden armor that then Diana wears in
Yeah.
later on in that
Hell yeah.
movie. We'll just call it a movie. Again, sorry for the cast of Wonder Woman 1984. Um, but similar to them, this movie. Sorry for the cast of this movie because they have an incredible cast and it just doesn't click. It doesn't click. It's very disappointing. If you could find like a YouTube video of just the fights, that's enough.
Absolutely. Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
that'd be
Like
killer.
if someone did something like they did back in the early 2000s where they like put like a Linkin Park song, non-problematic singer, um, with with like an AMV and like in the video
Yeah,
playing, like go ahead, yeah, have a fucking
that'd be
ball.
dope.
I hope I bring that back, but with again non-problematic singer.
Bring back AMVs. Those were dope. We need more of
Dragon
them.
Ball ones were the best, man. Yeah.
Hmm.
All right, so that is our episode on Wonder Woman 2009. Next week we are getting into the Green Lantern Corps. First solo movie for the Green Lanterns. First flight.
We have two Green Lantern movies in a row coming up.
Yeah, one I'm gonna argue better than the other, but again, it's been a long time since I've seen both of these.
We'll
so it's
get
good.
to 'em.
Yeah, we will get to them, and we might have a returning cast member from Wonder Woman 2009. But till then, class has been dismissed. Bye.